Hey folks, it's Mort Orman, and it's now Sunday. It's June the 27th, around 10:15 in the morning, 10:20 in the morning, and we are getting ready to start our trip to Washington State, from Florida to Washington State. There you see Christina's car, which we just packed with all kinds of stuff, and we're getting ready to take off in a minute. Let me see if I can give you a little bit of a tour here. We have the back seat pretty well packed. I've got a glare here, so I can't really tell what's recording, but hopefully it'll give you a little view there. And then we just don't think we can put another thing in the trunk. We got the trunk there. That's all packed up. And then we got Christina, room for Christina in here. Anyhow, just wanted to let you know that we're officially starting day one of the Florida to Washington State Life Mastery Tour, and we will keep you appraised as we make progress along our route. Our goal for today is to make it to somewhere outside of Atlanta where we have a hotel room rented, and we'll stay overnight there and then head out tomorrow. So talk to you later. Hey there, Mort Orman again. We just stopped for lunch at a Denny's in St. Augustine. So far all is good. We did encounter some emotional landscape on the drive. My wife said there were a number, like 10 or 15 cars that in a short span of time between Daytona and St. Augustine passed everybody on the road, going very high speeds, going dangerously. So that seemed to be a little bit of frustration and impatience in a fair number of people. I don't think they were in a group or anything, just one after another. So that's something we observed. The other thing I wanted to share with you is, I don't know if you can see this little guy here. This is Nessie, and Nessie was given to me by my daughter when she was 11 years old. She took a trip with a acting camp to London, and Tracy went ahead with a girlfriend of hers and their parents to Scotland for a couple days before Christina and I flew into London to rendezvous with her. And they took a train from Scotland to London, and in Scotland they had gone to a golfing store, and Tracy had bought this little plastic rubber Loch Ness monster in golf attire for me, and when you got off the train she gave it to me, and I have had it ever since. So she was 11 years old, so for the last 33 years Nessie goes with me everywhere I go. He's in my car when I go on vacation, when I go travel somewhere, I take Nessie with me, and he's been with me for 33 years. So he's on this trip with us, so I just wanted to let you know that. Otherwise everything is going well, and I'll check in with you later on today. Hi there, this is Dr. Mort Orman, and I'm recording this from the end of our day one travels from Florida to Washington State, and we have finally arrived at our destination for the evening. It's Howard Johnson's motel outside of Atlanta, and it's about 10 after 9. We arrived about a half an hour ago and got everything up into our room. We had a pretty uneventful day. We drove about 8.5, 9 hours with break for lunch, break for dinner. So everything went relatively smoothly, except the air conditioning in Christina's car wasn't working all that great. So we got to figure out how to get that fixed either tomorrow or the next day before we head into some really hot weather. Anyhow, I'm broadcasting to you from my beautiful bathroom because we don't have any lights in the main part of the room that are sufficient enough for broadcast. So you may be able to see I'm in the bathroom here, and it's very well lit. Thank you. So I wanted to close out today because I told you I would give you a little bit of wisdom from this book called Life 101 each day, and so I want to do that today. I want to just start by giving you sort of an overview of this book. It was written in 1990 by two men, John Roger and Peter McWilliams. Frankly, I don't know that much about them. They both have produced a lot of stuff, written a lot of books, done seminars, workshops about all kinds of topics related to life and mastery of life. The subtitle of the book is Everything We Wish We Had Learned About Life in School But Didn't. So there's a lot of stuff that we didn't learn in school that we really need to know, and it would have been nice if they had taught that to us, but they didn't. And I believe that firmly. So I think we need to keep educating ourselves as to what the heck, how you win the game of life, and all other aspects of it. So this book, I'll read the jacket to you. It says, by the time we graduate from high school, most of us have spent more than 14,500 hours in the classroom. Along the way, we learned and promptly forgot several million facts. But in all that time, did we learn or even explore the meaning of life? Did we learn how to love ourselves? No. Did we learn the importance of forgiving oneself or others? No. Did we learn about worthiness and how to get it? The power of thoughts and how to use them? The value of mistakes? I don't think so. Did anyone teach us how to use guilt, resentment, pain, and fear for our learning, upliftment, and growth? I don't know about you, but I had no courses on that. Not even in medical school or my medical training. If not, it's not too late. You are holding the class you've been waiting for in your hands, Life 101, everything we wish we had learned about life in school but didn't. So it's with guest commentators from Aristotle to Mae West. We've created a learning environment that's effective and fun. So as I said before, not the greatest book I've ever read. What's nice about it is they have listed a lot of important topics, and they've tried to address them. I'm not sure they did said much that was all that helpful, but at least they laid out some of the questions. Certainly not all of them, because there's many, many more than what they included. But just quick overview. The book is divided into 5 major parts or sections. The first one's called Introduction to Life, and they talk about from their perspective, the purpose of life is learning, and that it's an ongoing process where we go through life, and our job is to learn as much as we can. And also in this section, they talk about who do we think we are? Who do we believe we are? How do we how do we answer that question? Who are you? And then another aspect they talk about in this section is that there's much more going on in life than our senses can perceive. So there's a lot of stuff we can't register that's really going on and is important. And part 2 is called Advanced Tools for Learners. And here, the first chapter there, chapter there is why we resist learning, and I think we do. They talk about that. It talks about acceptance, talks about the inner voices that we battle with every day, talks about accountability, and a number of other things in that section. And then part 3 is Master Teachers in Disguise. So from their philosophy that life is about learning, they try to answer the question, well, if it's about learning, who are the teachers? And it turns out that teachers, and a lot of the stuff that we don't like that happens in life, has a lot to teach us. And that we really have to take responsibility for teaching ourselves a lot of this stuff, but that those things help. So he talks about mistakes. He talks about emotions, how negative emotions like anger, guilt, and fear are great teachers if we approach them in that context. And there's a lot we can learn from those emotions, and I firmly believe that. In my Quick Emotions Mastery course, I do a lot of showing people how they can learn from their negative emotions, or what there is to learn from those negative emotions. He says pain can be a teacher. Depression, being overweight, these are all things, and many more they talk about in this chapter, can be great teachers if we just learn the lessons, if we just look at it in the right way. Part 4 is called Tools for Successful Doers. And some of the topics covered there are having a purpose in life, understanding the difference between aspects of life that are visible and aspects of life that are invisible, and which is more important. And I'll give you a hint, it's the invisible is usually much more important than the visible. Talks about commitment, very important. He talks about keeping your word. That's something they hit on very strongly and very importantly. Focus, goes a little bit into affirmations, and also talks about living in our comfort zone and how we need to constantly be pushing up against our comfort zone if we're going to do great stuff, if we're going to learn the great lessons we need to learn, and things like that. And then the fifth section, the last section, is entitled Have Joy and Have It More Abundantly. So he talks about healing the past, what wealth is as opposed to having money, He talks about sacrifice, the value of sacrifice, service, gratitude, balance, and concludes with love and loving. So, like I said, it covers, and these are just some of the topics they talk about in the book. So, it covers a lot of ground, a lot of important topics. Like I said, left me a little wanting in terms of the good solutions or good helpful advice for how to negotiate each of these things or how to function powerfully in each of those areas. But I still think there's a value in presenting that's sort of a curriculum or a overview of kinds of things you might need to think about in terms of Life 101 or Mastering Life. And so what I'll do is each day as we do our travelogue and check in, we'll talk about each of those sections of the book, or something that I found particularly important or useful, and hopefully by the time we reach Washington, you'll have gotten some out of the review of that book. So I'm going to sign off for this evening, and we're headed out to Nashville tomorrow, and it's one of our shorter drives, so hopefully it won't be as rigorous as today, but I will talk to you tomorrow.